Adult Swim just dropped a trailer today for a show called Learning with Pibby, with the premise just being that it stars the character Pibby, who teaches children how to learn. Except it's Adult Swim, so of course it's gonna have a dark twist to it, which is no surprise. The twist, however, certainly was a bit more than you'd expect. Learning with Pibby starts with a static being of some kind consuming the characters, before revealing that this isn't just strictly Pibby's universe, but the entirety of the Warner Brothers and Cartoon Network multiverse. And while the former isn't too surprising considering Adult Swim has utilized many Warner Brothers properties for Adult Swim media, the use of some CN originals kind of is. To put it simply, it's a bit strange seeing official products starring glitched body horror versions of various CN characters. But why is that? Why is this seen as different compared to, say, Robot Chicken or any other Hanna-Barbera show that Adult Swim has aired in the past few years? And more importantly, why does the show actually look pretty good and have potential for a really interesting series? Especially because if Adult Swim aired just a comedy show starring a bunch of Cartoon Network characters, it probably wouldn't receive nearly the amount of praise and attention it has. So why has it? Well, I'd like to discuss why in this video. First of all, while seeing certain Warner Brothers characters in adult situations may seem a bit odd at first glance, it really isn't all that surprising anymore. Especially with Hanna-Barbera properties, Adult Swim has always had pretty much free reign to do whatever the hell they wanted with them. We had a talk show featuring Space Ghost, a lyric comedy featuring Birdman, and in general, stuff like that isn't that weird anymore. Especially if you count comics like Scooby Apocalypse. This stuff has already been re-envisioned as much darker properties already, so it isn't too surprising. What is surprising is seeing it happen to the Cartoon Network characters. While many of the CN shows are nearly 20 to 30 years old, we haven't seen many attempts at reimagining them into darker, edgier properties. And again, you don't really have to think too hard to see why. Many Cartoon Network shows, especially stuff like Courage, Adventure Time, or Regular Show, honestly feel like they'd be right at home on Adult Swim. Hell, Samurai Jack did air its final season on Adult Swim. These shows already have a lot of darker moments and edgier jokes, so honestly, giving them Adult Swim shows wouldn't really feel that weird. Additionally, many would argue it may be a bit too early to have darker interpretations of some of these characters. Again, many of these are a bit old, but it's not too surprising to see CN not make, I don't know, Adventure Time Apocalypse or something. So, seeing them not only in Adult Swim series proper, especially a crossover, featuring most of them as body horror nightmare fuel is quite jarring, but really not in a bad way either. The thing about Pibby that makes it so interesting is that despite having a silly premise and a bunch of jokes, it actually takes itself pretty seriously. If any of these characters appeared in, say, Robot Chicken, it wouldn't be too shocking, especially since the whole point of that show is to take the piss out of children's cartoons. But Pibby is different in that the concept of the CN multiverse is just built into the show. This isn't just a throwaway sketch, this is the real and true Cartoon Network, especially with many of the characters being drawn extremely on model. But then you also have them being glitched and distorted into these creepy abominations. Yeah, we've seen crossovers through commercials, comics, games, and even the OKKO special, but we've never seen it like this. A full-on, bloody, Evil Dead-esque version of Cartoon Network is just insane to think about. And also some Nickelodeon backgrounds thrown in there? Did they get the rights to use that? If they did, then holy crap, Nick is on the table. If not, it's probably just for the trailer. But it's still so cool! And helping is that the show is smart and takes a Wreck-It Ralph approach to the characters and story. The main characters are all from fictional cartoon shows, which not only allows them to do anything they want with them, without stepping on any of the other show's toes, but be creative in who these characters are. There hasn't really been a CN preschool show, at least one like Pibby, before. Pibby, the villainous cat lady, and the superhero sidekick aren't from any actual shows on CN, but you can definitely tell what shows inspired them. And just the mere idea of a preschool character, a superhero sidekick, and a villainous cat lady having to overstep the boundaries of their roles and, well, go into Adult Swim territory is just a really cool idea. And what's even better is, again, despite there being some jokes, the story seems like it'll actually take itself somewhat seriously. These characters seem like they'll grow, they'll develop, they'll have actual moments where they feel like real people, and it's not just gonna be like, ha ha, cartoon said fuck in pissed blood, heh heh heh. It feels like they're actually doing something smart with the premise. Hell, I don't even know these characters that much. Other than Pibby, we don't even know the other two characters' names. But just from their interactions, the storytelling without any dialogue, and so many other great moments in the trailer, I really am interested in these characters. Pibby especially. I just love this character. Seeing her grow from just a preschool character telling people how to learn to a PTSD-written Ash Williams-like character is just so interesting. I want to see these characters and I want to see more of them. And honestly, this is why Pibby feels so jarring and shocking compared to something like Robot Chicken or Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Not only is this an official property featuring nightmare equivalents of basically all of the Cartoon Network shows, but it's really just the backdrop to a much darker and much more interesting story. The show's premise is good, with the CN crossover elements only enhancing it. It's not like Space Jam where a lot of the cameos feel forced and shoved in. It feels natural and integral to the story, especially since the evil being in the show is literally static and glitching, something I experienced a lot while watching shows in my youth. Again, it feels like Wreck-It Ralph meets Evil Dead, except it's Cartoon Network and Adult Swim characters. We've never really had a show like this before. Sure, we've had Cartoon Network crossovers before, but we've never had a horror Cartoon Network crossover before. I mean, geez, even Epic Mickey was toned down a bit. But damn, none of them have gone this dark before. And I think that's why it's so intriguing. Not only is it a great premise, but it knows what it's doing with said premise, and using the fact that it is a CN crossover to its advantage. And just from the trailer alone, it looks like it'd be an amazing show. And that's why it really needs to get greenlit. Seriously, Adult Swim, please greenlight this. I really want to see this show become a reality. Please, spread the trailer, spread the word on it. Write to Adult Swim, I don't know, do something. I mean, Adult Swim, buddy, you greenlighted Smiling Friends because people online loved it. And guess what? People love this. Please, make it a show. Make it a reality. Let us learn with Pibby. With that, I've been Groovy Jake. Happy Halloween. Have a great day. Please subscribe, hit the bell notification, spread the word. Thank you. Bye.
Groovy.